Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my weekly reads video. This is for week number 29 and it's July the 18th through the 24th. So I've said this in other videos, but I can pretty much guarantee this is going to be a shorter video. I read 4 books this week, which I'm super happy about. But anything that I'm currently reading, I'm not going to talk to you guys about, mainly because it's all the exact same stuff that I shared with you on my Friday reads. And I don't need to rehash that again. Friday and Saturday were short reading, were not great reading days for me. I didn't get a lot read. I wanted to get more read, but I didn't. I haven't been feeling well. And I think it's just some bug or something like that, because Garrett's had it as well. So I don't know whether or not it's something that we ate, or I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. I was really feeling lousy yesterday, and I feel better today, which is good. I'm still tired, but I feel better. So I literally think it was just some sort of little bug that we caught or something like that. So anyway, we're both feeling better, but I just did not get a lot of reading done over the last couple of days. I think part of it for me may have been on Thursday when I went around and did all that running around to the different libraries and stuff. That not that I was outside in the sun, but I was driving around in the car in the sun, and the air conditioning in my car unfortunately is not working the best. So I wonder if it was partially heat related, because it was so hot out, that was part of my issue. I can't take a lot of the extreme heat or anything like that. So I don't know, I think it was a whole mess of things just kind of all accumulating together. But I did finish 4 books this week, so of course I'm going to share those 4 books with you guys. And then that will be it for this video. And then after this video, I need to refilm my TBR video that's going to go up on Wednesday. Because I was feeling okay yesterday afternoon, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to edit my TBR, because there's a lot of graphics I need to insert and stuff like that, and they do take a bit longer. And I uploaded the video from my phone to my computer, where I have my editing software. And I'm like, why is this video only 10 minutes long? I do not do a 10-minute long TBR video. It's impossible. I can't do a 10-minute long any kind of video, I don't think. So I went and looked, and for some reason the camera completely cut off and I didn't even realize. So I'm a little annoyed at that, but I'll talk about it a bit more on my TBR video, when I do the video, because there's something that I'm doing in that video. So anyway, I'll get into, you guys will see that on Wednesday. I'm not going to give all the secrets away right now. So tomorrow, of course, will be the library vlog that I've been talking about. So that library vlog and haul, so that will go up tomorrow. And then on Wednesday will be my TBR. So that's exciting. So anyway, let's get into the 4 books that I finished this week. So the first book that I finished this week was Starring the Babysitters Club by Ann M. Martin. This book I gave 3.5 stars to. It is Babysitters Club Super Special number 9. Publication date September of 1992. And it is a middle grade fiction novel, of course. So the Babysitters Club books, I will not be reading as many of them going forward. I think I mentioned this to you guys, that I am now borrowing them from the library. So it does take time. Right now, the next book I need to read, which I think is Marianne's Makeover, is something like a 6-week wait. So I might get to it in September, but that's okay, because I've got a lot of other stuff that I really want to get to. So the Babysitters Club books are going to kind of just be when they come into the library. I will, when my hold comes in, I'm just going to read it. I can read them in an hour or so. The super specials, maybe 2 hours. But the regular books in the series, I can finish those in an hour. So it'll probably pretty much be a read it and return it. Because there's such long waits on them that I want to get them to the next, people who want to read them. So yeah, anyway. But those all, I've got the next, I think, 3 on hold. So then once one comes in, I'll put another one on hold and kind of go that way. So anyway, that is that. So yeah, so this one... The Babysitters Club, essentially, the school, the middle school, the elementary school, and the high school are all putting on this big production of Peter Pan. And essentially, it's them being in the play. Dawn plays Wendy, Stacy is Mrs. Darling, Christy plays Peter Pan, Mallory and Claudia work behind the scenes, so does Marianne, doing a backstage babysitter kind of an idea. Who else am I forgetting? Christy, Claudia, Marianne, Stacy, Dawn. Yeah, that's all of them. So, oh, and Jessie. The whole thing pretty much centered around it. Usually one babysitter, with these super specials, usually it's one babysitter who kind of like, starts the whole thing going. And it's like kind of, even though it focuses on all of the babysitters or whatever, it's usually one babysitter that's kind of like, they're the jumping off point to the whole story. And in this case, Jessie, she is a dancer. She goes to a special school, like a dance school in Stanford, and she's been in major productions like Swan Lake and Cinderella. And she thought, I'm going to be Peter Pan. I'm going to be a shoo-in. No problem, right? And then like sets up this whole thing with the school paper, like, oh, hey, I'm going to be Peter Pan. And, you know, I'm going to write this great article for the school paper about being in the play. And the school paper's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Didn't realize that you were Peter Pan, but so be it. And then she does not get the part. She actually gets the part of just one of the Indians. And, or no, a pirate. She gets part of one of the pirates. And she's really mad. Like, it was a little obnoxious how upset she was because she thought, you know, with her ability, she should have definitely gotten to play Peter Pan. When in reality, it's like the whole reason is because she has so much experience that this is supposed to be a play with kids in school. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a professional play. So they wanted to give other students the chance to actually star in a play, you know? So kind of centers around that. She's a little bitter about it throughout most of the book, but then ends up coming around at the end, of course, as these things do. And it was cute. This was never my favorite super special. I'm not one who cares so much about plays and acting and stuff like that. It's just not my jam. But, I mean, it was cute and fun, and, you know, Karen, as usual, she is my least favorite character in this entire series, and she had a whole series of her own. Like, there was the Babysitter's Little Sister books, and people loved Karen. I did not like Karen at all. I thought she was completely obnoxious. So, the whole thing is that here she is. She's supposed to be a 6-year-old. 6 or 8. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. She's demanding this, like, director of this play that she is going to play Tinkerbell. And he's trying to explain to her, Tinkerbell is not a character. Like, if you look at the stage production of Peter Pan, it's literally a light and like a bell. Like, that's Tinkerbell. Like, that's just to denote that that's the fairy. It's Disney who created the Tinkerbell fairy, right? So Karen, you know, of course, is being completely obnoxious, and everybody's like, she's so precocious. I'm like, no, she's obnoxious. And demands to be Tinkerbell, and then finally gets to be Tinkerbell, and I could have done without that plot line entirely, but it is what it is. So there's kind of a lot going on in this book. You know, there's a whole thing with Stacy and Christy's brother Sam, with Dawn trying to, which I appreciate. I mean, don't get me wrong, but she's trying to, like, the whole thing with Peter Pan, I'm sure we're all familiar with the story, is that Peter wants to take Wendy back to Neverland so that she can care for him and the Lost Boys, right? Like, they need a mother kind of an idea. And, you know, as they're learning the lines for the play, Dawn's like, well, I can teach you to cook, or I can teach you how to sew on your shadow. It's not hard, you know, like, really, you know, saying like, you know, boys can do just exactly what girls do, that kind of an idea. So, I mean, it was funny, but it was perfect for Dawn's character. So, yeah, anyway, I enjoyed this one, 3.5 stars. And yeah, it's been fun rereading these. The next one that I finished was Save the Date by Morgan Matson. This one, the whole time I was reading it, and this was a long audiobook, guys. I listened to this on audio. So let me back up. I gave this book 3.5 stars. Its original publication date was June of 2018. It is a YA contemporary, and it was narrated on audio by Emily Bauer. This book was like 14 hours long on audio, okay? Like, it was long. And I will be honest, 80% of it, I could have cared less. I legitimately was so over this book. But this part of me is just like, just finish listening to it. It's mindless. It's, you know, it was entertaining enough, but it just I didn't care. So the whole premise of this story is about this girl by the name of Charlie. I think she's like 17. She's about to go to university. So she's in her last year of high school, and she's applying to different universities. So that's how old she is. She's the youngest of 5 children. She has 3 older brothers and an older sister. So her older sister is getting married. So the this entire book takes place over like a 48-hour period. So her older sister is getting married, and the thing is with her background is that her mother used to draw this comic strip about the family. And, you know, the thing was, though, it was done in real time. So as, like, the kids were modeled, like, the kids in the comic strip were modeled after her own kids, real events that took place were modeled, you know, strips became parts of what actually happened to the family and stuff like that. So I'm trying to remember, there was a comic strip that did this, that aged the family. They had a dog named Farley, and was it For Better or Worse that did it? I can't remember, but I think that they aged the children as well in that comic strip, because I remember reading that comic strip when the dog passed away, and that was just heartbreaking. So anyway, like I said, so that's kind of her background, is that she's lived her whole life being like in this comic strip, like in the newspaper comic strip. And so anyway, her sister's getting married, and the strip is ending. So the sister's getting married on the Saturday. On the Sunday, Good Morning America is coming to the house to talk to the family about the ending of the strip and what the final strip is going to be, and, you know, blah, 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 how the mother's going to end the series. So it doesn't take place over 48 hours. It takes place over 72. So it's like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So essentially Charlie is like trying to be like the every person in this book. And I guess in retrospect, stepping back now and thinking about it, like at 17, you kind of start to think that the world does revolve around you a little bit, I guess, some people. And, you know, I'm not trying to generalize teenagers. Of course, I would never do that. However, if I remember my own teenage years, you know what I mean? So she has to be the one to fix everything. She has to be the one to make everything better. That she's so excited about all of her siblings being back in the house together, because this is going to be like the last time, because the house is going up for sale. There's reasons behind that I saw clear as a bell as to why these things were happening. And when it was revealed at the end, I was like, whoa, it's about time you figured it out. But anyway, so she's super excited about her whole family being back together. But the thing is that this was almost like a comedy of errors. Like everything that could go wrong at this wedding went wrong. Like, first of all, like the guy who was supposed to marry them couldn't marry them. The tuxedo that the groom was supposed to wear ended up getting picked up by somebody else. The cake gets destroyed. You know, there's a power outage, this, that. I mean, it was just a whole thing. And like every time something new happened, that was like an issue, I was kind of like, really? Like it got to like that point where it was like, okay, this is a little much. The ending, though, of the book I did like. So I upped it a star rating at the end. Now, like, I gave it 3 stars. Like, I gave it 3 stars, and then I gave it an extra half a star because I did like the ending. But just the majority of the book, I could have done without. Like, to be completely honest. So many of the issues that happen, I don't understand. Like, they could have been cut out entirely. And, you know, like, every time something happened, like, when the cake gets destroyed, now, again, sorry, that's more towards the end of the book. Spoiler alert, but it's kind of on the cover. Charlie puts it upon herself to go and get new cake. Like, you're 17. You're a bridesmaid. This isn't your job. You know, yes, it was an accident and you partially caused the accident in a way. But, and the other thing is too, sorry, I'm kind of going on a rant on this book. I apologize. Excuse me. And no, guys, this is not a coffee. I'm cutting myself off coffee for a little while because I think that's part of why I wasn't feeling very well. This is a green tea. It's an extra large green tea. So no, it's not a coffee. But that I feel that a lot of these YA books, not all of them, but a lot of them, come from a place of privilege. Very privileged. Now, I'm not talking about in particular white privilege, but just in general in the fact of wealth privilege is what I'm meaning by this. So in this book, Charlie lives in this huge, huge house, and they have to go on to describe how grand this house is. They go on the fact that she's got her own vehicle. She's got a credit card she's flashing around all over the place. And if I think back to when I was a teenager, now I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying it was better. I'm just saying that, you know, from where I came from when I was a teenager, a lot of the books that I read, the characters were middle class, maybe upper middle class, but it wasn't in your face as much as I feel like it is in some of these YA books. You know, there was one, so the one that I just read last week, Sunkiss, which I really, really liked. Again, there's these 2 girls, you know, and they are going off for an entire summer with their parents to this resort. You know, how many families can really truly afford to do something like that? The one by, oh my gosh, who wrote it? The When Dimple Met Rishi, that series. One of the characters in there is very well to do and talks about, you know, and again, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I guess the more YA that I've been reading lately, the more YA contemporary, I'm noticing it more and more. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing that these teenagers all have their own vehicle. You know, it's nothing that these teenagers have like their own credit card, you know, like, or a credit card maybe linked to their parents' card. I don't know. And, you know, maybe a lot of kids grew up that way and that's awesome, but a good majority of kids did not. And I just would like to see it shift just a little bit to something a bit more, how do I put this? Not so much privilege and like just, you know, like it would have even been better if she had to share a car with her brother who's like a year older than her. Like the two of them shared a car, kind of an idea. You know what I mean? Like, or that she didn't have this, you know, like she goes out to buy those cakes and doesn't even blink when she buys 5 huge cakes, like sheet cakes. She pulls out the credit card and swipes it and Bob's your uncle. And it's just, anyway. At the end of the day, I did like the book for what it was. However, I guess I just got to this point where I was reading way too much into it, and I should have just enjoyed it for the fun little YA contemporary that it was, because it was. And I do want to read more Morgan Matson, because I really liked her writing. So, sorry for that long rant on that. I apologize. I said this was going to be a short video, didn't I? I lied. The next book that I finished was A Delicious Dilemma by Sera. Goodness, I'm going to say it wrong. Taino, I think. And this I gave 4 stars to. This was a NetGalley book, so thank you very much to Harlequin for sending me an e-art copy to read and review. I also received an e-art copy directly from the author, which was awesome. This is Harlequin's special edition novel number 2861. It has a publication date of September of 2021. But, pardon me, if you want to read this one, if you purchase books on the Harlequin website on harlequin.com, or I believe on Mills and Boon, you can pick it up as of August the 1st. So just like a few days away, like next Sunday. So this story was so good. So this is the story of Val and Philip. And Val, the whole story takes place like, it's called in the East Ward, I think, which is across the river, I guess, from Manhattan. And it's a very Puerto Rican type ethnic neighborhood. And Val works at her family's Puerto Rican restaurant, and she loves what she does. She has a younger brother and a younger sister. Her mother passed away when she was young, and her father kind of run the restaurant. The sister and brother help out on occasion, but I think the sister's in college and the brother's like a teacher or something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, Philip is from a very, very well-to-do family. And his father's company, like he worked for the company as well. He's a designer, like an architect. And his father is buying up like all these properties in this community that Val lives in, and they're demolishing them and putting in new. You know what I mean? Like displacing the people who are already there and the businesses that are there, and you know, their livelihoods and things like that. So Val and Philip end up meeting at the very beginning of the book at this club, and you know, kind of hit it off. Like he's a friend of a friend kind of an idea. And he only tells her his first name because immediately she starts in ranting about, you know, this horrible company that's doing this to this community. So he's like, well, you know, didn't want to admit to who he was. So then, of course, it comes out to who he, as to who he is. And then they stop talking, and then they kind of start reconciling a little bit. She starts taking him around town, around this neighborhood, to show him that there are people here that you are displacing. Like there are people with lives and livelihoods and families and a community, and you're displacing them, you know, however you look at it. Yeah, maybe you're offering them money to leave, but you can't, money doesn't replace community. You know what I mean? So anyway, the story about the two of them kind of goes from there. So it's a bit of a, they're like attracted to each other at first, and they still are throughout the whole course of the book. But then, of course, they become, well, they don't become enemies. I don't want to say it's an enemies to lovers because Philip's never angry at her. Philip is trying to understand. He's trying to empathize. He's trying to help. But again, speaking about the last book, he comes from a place of very, very wealthy privilege and doesn't understand. You know, he's like, there was a line in the book about something like he's never had anyone hate him for what he does. And, you know, the whole thing to that is that, but he doesn't know that. He doesn't know how many people have been angry at his father's company or at his company for what they've done with coming in and rezoning and what have you. So it was a really cute story, and I liked it a lot. I loved the different perspective from a different culture, like the Puerto Rican culture. I thought it was so interesting. There is so much talk in this book about food, you guys. It was so amazing. Oh gosh, it made me hungry just reading the book. It was fantastic. So I highly, highly recommend that you pick this one up. Yeah, this one was an absolute delight. And Brie and I, for the Categorically Romance podcast, did get a chance to actually talk to the author. That episode will be coming out, I think, in September, early September. And she's just a delight. And she did tell us that she's working on other books. Like, this is going to be part of a series, which makes me very, very happy. So, because both Brie and I were saying we really want the brother and sister stories as well. So yeah, so that one was fantastic. And then the last book that I read this week was Good Twin Gone Country by Jessica Lemmon. This book I also gave 4 stars to. It is another NetGalley read, so thank you very much to Harlequin and NetGalley for sending me an e-art copy of this one to read and review. This is book 4 in the Beaumont Bay series. Harlequin Desire novel number 2816, publication date of August of 2021. So this one will be available in all the bookstores and stuff like that as of later this week, because I think the books will get released this Tuesday. So check your local Amazon Check Amazon or your local big box store if you want to pick up a copy of this one. It is, of course, a contemporary romance. So I am a sucker for a book about twins. I don't know what it is. Now, speaking about, like, it seems to be the theme of this video maybe, is the whole wealth privilege thing. So this one also has that as well. However, stepping back, is that the Desire novels tend to be this way. The Desire novels are very soap opera. They're very larger than life. And you know that going in, that these people have money, more money than God kind of an idea, and they can do whatever they want. And that's just kind of the nature of these books. So, you know, not that I'm knocking that down, but again, I don't want to get into the whole thing again. It just feels like there's a time and a place, and a YA contemporary is not that place. Whereas in these books, you can kind of appreciate it for what it is. So this is, like I said, a good story about twins. So Haley is the twin to, I think it was Heidi. Okay, so she's in a previous, I think her book was the first in the Beaumont Bay series. I have not read it yet. But Heidi, I believe, I think that's her name, is a country singer. Now, her twin sister, Haley, who's in this book, she's like her publicist manager kind of an idea. And essentially, she is known as the more studious twin, the quieter twin. Heidi is like, I mean, she's a country singer. She's a very, like, the way they describe her, I'm thinking Carrie Underwood, right? She's very out there. She's very, you know, flashy and fun and the party girl and this, that, and the other thing. Whereas Haley is a little more quiet. You know, if I always think about Elizabeth and Jessica Wakefield from the Sweet Valley Twins series, or the Sweet Valley High series. Like, this sister in this book was more the Elizabeth twin. You know what I mean? So at the beginning of the book, she is at this party. And this guy named Gavin, who is actually the brother of Heidi's husband. I've never been a fan of that trope, where, you know, 2 sisters marry 2 brothers or whatever. I'm not a fan of it, which is why this got knocked down a little bit. It would have been a 4.5, but I'm not a fan of that. I'm sorry. So anyway, I don't know what it is. It just seems convenient. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, there's 3 sisters and, oh, look, 3 brothers. Let's hook them all up together and Bob's your uncle kind of an idea. That's the phrase for today's video, is Bob's your uncle. Sorry. Didn't mean to use it twice. Do you know what I mean? And I just feel like it's like convenient and easy, and I'm not a fan. Anyway, though, so he sees her at this party. She's in this flashy red dress, and he assumes it's the country singer sister. So she doesn't correct him, but then she starts to realize to herself, because he makes a comment to her when he's talking to her, thinking it's her sister, that, oh yeah, no, I knew you definitely weren't Haley, because Haley would never be at a party like that. Haley is boring. Haley would never wear a dress like that. So then she kind of propositions Gavin to teach her how to be more fun and more wild and outgoing. And of course, the romance goes from there. It was really, really cute. I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. I really liked the character of Haley. I did like Gavin a lot. yeah, and I think this might be the last one in the series, but I'm not absolutely certain. I'm going to have to check. But I have enjoyed this one, and I'm hoping to get to another one. Like, because I have the first couple, I think. So there's 3 more before this, but I do hope to get to them sooner rather than later. So that's all that I read this week, you guys. That was it. And like I said, I'm not going to talk about my, what I'm currently reading, because everything is exactly the same as it was last week. Although I am hoping to finish The People We Meet on Vacation today. So, spoiler alert, I am really enjoying it, you guys. Really enjoying it. So, stay tuned for my thoughts on that one next week. Or tune into the live show next Saturday here on my channel, where we're going to talk about that. So, yay on that one. Anyway, guys, that is all that I have for today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know below. Have you read any of these books? I know there's only the 4 of them. What did you read this week that you really enjoyed? And yeah, and again, I apologize for my rants on that whole thing with the YA. I don't know. Maybe I need to step away from YA books for a little while. Maybe there was a reason I wasn't reading them, because they were kind of, you know, they pushed some buttons for me. So anyway, until my next one, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.